everyone, Indonesia and Vietnam are two prominent pillars in the Southeast Asian region. Each nation possesses its own distinct characteristics in terms of history, culture, and social structure, but also share many commonalities in terms of geopolitics, development potential, and a strong aspiration to advance in the 21st century. Both nations are progressively asserting their positions as emerging powers in the region, playing an increasingly important role in the economic, political, and security processes of the Asia-Pacific. While Indonesia is often likened to a sleeping giant, a nation possessing immense potential that has yet to fully harness its power on the global stage, Vietnam, leveraging the advantages of its dynamic economy, is rapidly establishing its position as an emerging hub in mainland Southeast Asia. Video, Let. Indonesia is a country in the island Southeast Asia region and is also the world's largest archipelagic nation. Its territory spans more than 5,150 kilometers from east to west, straddles the equator, and possesses approximately 17,508 islands, both large and small. As a result, the country boasts an extensive coastline, naturally bordering both the Pacific and Indian Oceans, as well as being situated among many strategically important straits such as Malacca, Sunda, and Lombok. These are all vital global maritime routes, through which the majority of oil and goods are transported between the Middle East, East Asia, and Europe. The irreplaceable position of this archipelagic nation in international trade and maritime security is an inevitable consequence. In terms of territorial size, Indonesia has a total area of 1,904,569 square kilometers, most of which is ocean. This creates an open geographical structure, closely connected to the world through its sea lanes. The terrain here is exceptionally rich and diverse, befitting the vast scale of the archipelago, most notably its perilous and seemingly endless mountain ranges. Active volcanoes stand alongside vast, low-lying plains. Specifically, the western region with islands such as Sumatra and Java is characterized by steep terrain, dense forests, and majestic volcanoes. In the eastern region, particularly Papua, the landscape is dominated by towering mountain ranges with peaks perpetually blanketed in snow and ice. Between the highlands lie fertile lowlands, primarily coastal plains and river valleys. Most major islands feature rugged, mountainous terrain with numerous towering peaks, most notably Puncak Jaya in Papua, which soars to a height of over 4,884 meters. These mountain ranges are part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, a region renowned for its intense geological activity and frequent volcanic eruptions. However, this also opens up opportunities for Indonesia to exploit its natural resources. Due to this diversity, the country is classified as having a tropical climate, experiencing several distinct climate types, primarily tropical rainforest, followed by tropical monsoon, and finally tropical savanna. Additionally, some highland regions at elevations ranging from 1,500 to 3,500 meters above sea level also feature oceanic and subtropical highland climates, although their distribution area is quite limited. The distinction between the rainy season and the dry season is very pronounced in some regions, particularly in the eastern areas near the Australian continent. Temperature varies mainly with altitude rather than latitude, so highland areas are generally cooler than coastal regions. Although it is rarely affected by major tropical storms, this locality frequently experiences thunderstorms in the afternoon. The year-round hot and humid climate and abundant rainfall create favorable conditions for the development of incredibly diverse and rich tropical rainforest ecosystems. Therefore, Indonesia is classified among the world's 17 most biodiverse countries, possessing a unique collection of species that blends the characteristic flora and fauna of both Asia and Australia. With a coastline stretching approximately 54,720 kilometers, this country also boasts an incredibly diverse and rich marine ecosystem, including mangrove forest ecosystems, sand dunes, and the coral reefs of the Tam Rak San Ho area. This place is considered a global marine biodiversity hotspot. This place also boasts abundant natural resources, with the world's largest tin market, along with mineral resources such as oil, natural gas, gold, nickel, and coal. Conversely, Vietnam is located in the continental Southeast Asia region, on the eastern side of the Indo-Chinese peninsula. With an area of approximately 331,212 square kilometers, this place is only 1/6 the size of Indonesia. Vietnam's territory is S-shaped, stretching from north to south and boasting a coastline of over 3,260 kilometers. And over 4,000 large and small islands, including the Hoang Sa and Trong Sa archipelagos. Yet it does not directly control strategically vital global straits like Indonesia. In terms of topography, our country possesses an incredibly diverse and rich system of landforms. Vast plains, majestic mountain ranges, and immense plateaus. A distinctive feature of the Trong Son Range is that it runs along the country's western border. In addition, Vietnam has two major deltas, the Red River Delta in the north and the Mekong Delta in the south. Not only are these thriving residential areas, but they also play a pivotal role in agricultural production, making significant contributions to the development of the national economy. These two deltas are connected by a narrow but continuous strip of coastal lowland, forming a crucial arterial traffic route. However, due to our country's specific geographical location, it is frequently struck by natural disasters such as storms, floods, and landslides. Meanwhile, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are phenomena that very rarely occur. Vietnam features a tropical monsoon climate with significant regional variations. The north has a cold winter, while the central and southern regions experience a prolonged rainy season from June to November due to the influence of the southwest monsoon. And the dry season lasts from December to April under the influence of the northeast monsoon, with high temperatures. The diversity of terrain and climate is a favorable condition for agricultural development. Ecology and tourism are intrinsically linked to lush, resource-rich lands, diverse ecosystems, and breathtaking landscapes. Overall, Indonesia possesses a vast territory, stretching across many longitudes and encompassed by an immense ocean. With its strategic maritime location and abundant natural resources, although Vietnam has a modest land area and does not control globally strategic maritime routes, it still plays an extremely important role within the economic network of the Southeast Asian continent. It benefits from its adjacency to China and its possession of a long coastline facing the South China Sea. This geographical contrast clearly reflects two distinct development trajectories, while Indonesia reaches out to the open sea. With advantages in maritime and global trade, Vietnam, meanwhile, serves as a land gateway, connecting mainland Southeast Asia with the world. The population distribution varies significantly between regions. Indonesia is the most populous country in Southeast Asia and the fourth most populous in the world, with a population of 281.6 million people and a population density of nearly 148 people per square kilometer. However, the population distribution in this country is highly uneven. Among these, although Java Island accounts for only nearly 7% of the country's total area, 132,598.77 square kilometers, it is home to 157,202,000 people. While many other islands like Papua or Kalimantan have very low population densities, this situation creates enormous population pressure in some areas, while simultaneously wasting resources in others. The population here is not only dense but also incredibly diverse, with approximately 600 indigenous ethnic groups and over 700 different languages. Among them, the Javanese constitute 40% of the population and hold a position of profound influence in the political, economic, and social spheres. Alongside them are tens of millions of people from other ethnic groups such as the Sundanese, Batak, Bugis, Minangkabau, Balinese, and Papuan, who live scattered across the islands. Each community group carries within it its own unique traditions, beliefs, and identity. Religiously, the country is also home to the world's largest Muslim community, with 87.09% of its population adhering to the faith, equating to 245,245,000 followers. Next is Christianity at 10.45%, Hinduism at 1.67%, Buddhism at 0.71%, Confucianism at 0.03%, and folk beliefs at 0.04%. All of this combines to form a complex demographic picture, requiring the government to balance two tasks: ensuring national unity and preserving local cultural identities. Vietnam has a population of 100,770,000 people, which is only about one-third that of Indonesia, the island nation. However, Vietnam's population density is twice that of Indonesia at 304 people per square kilometer, while also having greater ethnic homogeneity with 54 brotherly ethnic groups. Accounting for nearly 85.3% of the population, the Kin people live throughout all regions of the country and hold a pivotal position in the economy. Ethnic minorities account for approximately 14.7% of the population, primarily residing in the mountainous and midland regions. Although each ethnic group has its own language and customs, all remain united, support one another, and work together to build a strong and solid national Great Unity bloc. Our country has a diverse religious life, encompassing folk beliefs, Buddhism, Catholicism, Protestantism, Wahao Buddhism, Taoism, and many other religions. Furthermore, the religious environment in Vietnam exhibits a higher degree of harmony compared to Indonesia. Additionally, ethnic homogeneity is also an advantage, enabling Vietnam to more easily formulate nationwide policies and strengthen community cohesion in the process of national development. Additionally, approximately 59% of Indonesia's population lives in urban areas, with a fairly rapid rate of urbanization. This is particularly evident in the Jakarta metropolitan area, a megacity with a population of over 35 million people. This causes Jakarta to frequently face traffic congestion, flooding, and pressures from the urban environment. As population lives in urban areas. Currently, our country is accelerating investment in developing Type 2 and Type 3 cities and building smart urban models. This direction has the potential to create a foundation for long-term sustainable development, rather than over-concentrating on a single megacity like Indonesia's model. Regarding population structure, although Indonesia currently holds a clear advantage with 68.1% of its population being of working age, meaning it is in a golden population period, this does not constitute an absolute advantage. An aging population could also become a driving force, pushing our country to transition toward a development model based on knowledge, technology, and labor productivity, rather than relying on cheap labor as before. Regarding the quality of human resources, Indonesia has a relatively low percentage of workers with university degrees, at only about 9.5%. Furthermore, the quality of education varies significantly between regions, particularly between Java and the rest of the country. Vietnam has a relatively high tertiary education enrollment rate, reaching 11.5%. Based on PISA assessment results, the country is also evaluated as having strong academic proficiency within the Southeast Asian region. As can be seen, Indonesia is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation with an uneven population distribution. This characteristic poses significant challenges in connecting infrastructure, distributing resources, and maintaining harmony among its diverse cultural communities. Vietnam has a smaller population size with high concentration and ethnic homogeneity, which facilitates unified development and social stability. However, it must also be acknowledged that, with the world's fourth largest population, Van Dao possesses a massive domestic market and an abundant labor force. This is a potential gold mine if it can be exploited effectively. Conversely, while our country demonstrates flexibility in management and administration, it is facing significant challenges, a rapidly aging population and a still limited market scale. Here are some more natural and clearer ways to express this, depending on the context you wish to emphasize. Currently, Indonesia is the largest economy in Southeast Asia. It is estimated that by 2024, its nominal GDP will reach $1.4 trillion, equivalent to a per capita income of $4,972. It is also the world's 16th largest economy, powered by its vast domestic market and abundant natural resources such as coal, oil, natural gas, nickel, gold, and rich marine resources. Meanwhile, the average real GDP growth rate has only reached 4.3% over the past decade, reflecting an economy that, while relatively stable, still lacks a breakthrough growth trajectory. Moreover, this country still relies on the export of raw materials as a pillar for its development, with key commodities playing a crucial role. According to data from the General Statistics Office, export turnover reached $264.7 billion United States dollars and import turnover was $233.66 billion United States dollars, bringing the total trade value to $498.36 billion United States dollars. However, excessive reliance on natural resources makes Indonesia's economy vulnerable to global commodity price fluctuations while simultaneously hindering its transition to a higher value-added economic model. Only G20 member, the nation. The informal economic sector accounts for a significant proportion, leading to reduced labor productivity and creating challenges for fiscal management. Meanwhile, the country's Human Development Index, HDI, remains at only 0.718, reflecting limited efforts in improving the quality of healthcare and education services. Impressive economic scale, Vietnam has a more modest GDP, $468.49 billion, and a slightly lower GDP per capita, $4,649. However, the Vietnamese economy demonstrates robust momentum, boasting one of Asia's forecast, Vietnam. The primary economic structure comprises the following sectors: energy, processing industries, high-tech industries, electronics, mining, metallurgy, and chemicals. Furthermore, agriculture remains a vital economic sector of the country, encompassing both forestry and fisheries. At the same time, by adopting a development model centered on export-oriented processing, manufacturing, and by accelerating digital transformation, our country has risen to become a critical link in the global supply chain. According to 2024 estimates, the country's total trade turnover reached $786.29 billion, surpassing Indonesia. Of this, export turnover was $405.53 billion and import turnover was $380.76 billion. As a result, the country maintained its trade surplus position. Vietnam also demonstrated marked progress, ranking 44th with a score of 36.2 in the Global Innovation Index, placing it 10 spots above Indonesia. Furthermore, the country's HDI index reached 0.726, also surpassing Indonesia by 5 places. Notably, Indonesia and Vietnam are also important economic partners, with their total import-export turnover reaching $16.7 billion. This figure reflects the increasingly extensive and diverse cooperative relationship between the two major economies in Southeast Asia. Therefore, at the 2025 meeting, the two sides will focus on promoting economic and trade cooperation, aiming to raise the total bilateral trade turnover to $18 billion by 2028. Overall, Vietnam has not only achieved a higher degree of trade openness, but its export structure also demonstrates significant diversity and depth. Meanwhile, Indonesia continues to focus on leveraging its resource advantages to strengthen its trade position. One could imagine Indonesia as a waking giant, possessing a vast market and abundant resource potential, yet still struggling to develop advanced industries and enhance productivity. Meanwhile, Vietnam, though smaller in scale, has surged powerfully like a dynamic tiger, thanks to its agility, sound strategic direction, and deep integration into global value chains. Both possess immense potential, but the core issue lies in how they will leverage their strengths to rise powerfully amid the relentless fluctuations of the global economy. Capabilities and potential, manifested across multiple dimensions such as the scale of its armed forces, the technological level of its weaponry, combat effectiveness, organizational and command proficiency, and latent military potential. It is not merely the number of troops or weapons, but a comprehensive power forged from economic strength, scientific and technological advancement, the quality of human resources, and the political will of the entire nation. This strength plays a pivotal role in firmly safeguarding national sovereignty and territorial integrity, while maintaining a peaceful and stable environment for the country. According to Global Firepower's assessment, Indonesia ranks 13th, while Vietnam stands at 23rd in the global military strength ranking. These positions highlight the significant defense potential of both nations in the Southeast Asian region. First and foremost, the military force must be discussed. Currently, Indonesia has a total troop strength of up to 1,050,000 personnel, comprising 400,000 active duty soldiers, 400,000 reserve troops, and 250,000 paramilitary members. Vietnam has a total military strength of 5,850,000 personnel, comprising 600,000 active duty troops, 5 million reserve forces, and 250,000 paramilitary personnel. Regarding land-based armored forces, Indonesia has only 331 tanks, 153 self-propelled guns, 396 towed artillery pieces, and 63 multiple rocket launcher systems. In contrast, our country possesses a superior quantity with 1,374 tanks, 40 self-propelled guns, 535 towed artillery pieces, and 474 multiple rocket launcher systems. Regarding its air force, Indonesia currently possesses 41 fighter jets, 34 attack aircraft, 70 transport aircraft, 1 aerial refueling tanker, and 214 helicopters. Vietnam currently has 41 fighter jets, 32 attack aircraft, 9 transport planes, and 101 helicopters. In terms of naval power, your country possesses a total of 331 warships of various types, with a total fleet displacement of 304,168 tons. They have 7 corvettes, 25 escort squads, 4 submarine combat teams, and 211 patrol units. Our Navy possesses 110 vessels of various types, with a total fleet displacement of 107,831 tons. This includes 9 light destroyers, frigates, 16 corvettes, 6 submarines, and 35 patrol boats. Regarding defense budgets, there is no significant disparity between the two sides. Indonesia contributed $10.6 billion, accounting for 0.76% of its GDP, while the figure for Vietnam was $8.59 billion, equivalent to 1.75% of its GDP. This indicates that both nations prioritize and place great emphasis on military modernization, aiming to enhance their defensive capabilities and readiness to address regional security challenges. In 2024, Indonesia is implementing a large-scale military modernization strategy, with the goal of building a powerful and self-reliant military force by the mid-2040s. Shield. However, Jakarta is also facing significant challenges, including its reliance on international loans and delays in the implementation of key military projects. For this reason, they have strengthened defense cooperation with major partners such as the United States, Japan, India, and France. However, this strategy has also encountered financial and resource constraints. However, this archipelagic nation still harbors the ambition of rising to become a military power in Southeast Asia. This is accompanied by the strengthening of its defense capabilities, with a particular focus on developing its naval and air forces. Vietnam's defense policy not only reflects a comprehensive strategic vision but also emphasizes the core principles of peace, self-reliance, and enhanced regional cooperation. With the goal of maintaining regional stability and firmly safeguarding territorial sovereignty, our country has developed a comprehensive strategy that both enhances military capabilities and skillfully employs multilateral defense diplomacy. For example, one can cite the active promotion of cooperative initiatives within the ASEAN framework and the expansion of defense relations with key partners in the Indo-Pacific region, such as the United States, Japan, and India. 4 No's. All these efforts have contributed to elevating Vietnam's stature, affirming its role as a proactive player with a voice and influence in the region. Through this, we project the image of a peace-loving nation that is resolute in defending its sovereignty and makes tangible contributions to maintaining regional stability and security. In 2024, the Indonesian and Vietnamese defense ministries agreed to enhance cooperation, including the procurement of aircraft, helicopters, and bombs, to boost the military capabilities of both nations. Concurrently, the two sides also agreed to intensify joint patrols at sea to help maintain security in the Southeast Asian region. In addition, Minister Sam Sudin has also invited our country to attend the Indonesia Defense Exhibition and Forum 2025. This event aims to promote defense cooperation, share advanced military technologies, and discuss strategic issues regarding regional security. In March 2025, Indonesia and Vietnam officially established a comprehensive strategic partnership, ushering in a new era of cooperation across all fields and levels between the two nations. Notably, Vietnam is Indonesia's very first comprehensive strategic partner within the ASEAN bloc. From this, it can be seen that the strong defense relationship between Indonesia and Vietnam is not only a manifestation of strategic trust but also a clear message of solidarity and a joint response to emerging geopolitical challenges in the region. The clean energy race. Southeast Asia is witnessing a rapidly surging demand for energy, driven primarily by economic and population growth. This is pushing countries in the region to gradually shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources. Through legal frameworks, such as the Southeast Asia Energy Cooperation Action Plan, the region aims to achieve a 23% renewable energy share by 2025, targeting enhanced energy security and the promotion of sustainable development. In this field, both Vietnam and Indonesia possess immense potential for offshore wind power and floating solar power. Consequently, both nations are actively implementing strategies for a green energy transition, targeting net zero emissions by 2050 and 2060, respectively. For Indonesia, the goal of achieving net zero emissions serves as a catalyst for economic transformation, through the development of clean technology sectors such as battery manufacturing, strategic mineral mining, and renewable energy equipment production. However, to achieve this goal, by 2030 they will need to invest an additional $8 billion annually in areas such as hydrogen, solar, wind, nuclear, and carbon capture technology, energy sources that are still nascent in this country's climate commitment is also demonstrated by raising its 2030 emissions reduction target to 31.8% if undertaken independently, and to 43.2% with international support, alongside efforts to conserve the world. Therefore, the government has invested nearly $13 billion in dozens of sustainable development projects, including those involving solar energy and waste treatment. With the world's largest nickel reserves, the archipelago nation is aiming to become a global hub for electric vehicle (EV) battery production. They also aim to put 2 million electric cars and 12 million electric motorbikes into use by 2030. A prime example is the competition between Hyundai and BYD. Furthermore, the overly rapid development of the electric vehicle market also poses many challenges for this country, including the requirement for a high localization rate. Vietnam is emerging as an attractive destination for renewable energy investors in 2024. Although still reliant on coal, Vietnam has made remarkable strides in diversifying its energy sources. Typical examples are solar and wind energy. From a level of nearly zero in 2015, by 2021, the total solar power capacity had reached 16.5 gigawatts and wind power capacity 11.8 gigawatts, placing Vietnam on the list of the world's top 10 countries in solar energy development. Among them, Power Development Plan 8 sets a target of achieving a 31% renewable energy share by 2030. With current offshore wind power capacity at 6 gigawatts and the potential to reach up to 70 gigawatts by 2050. With a projected capacity of 300